Hello and welcome to the show. My name's Tom Chase. I'm joined tonight with Aaron Jarvis, aka Jarvis, and our special guest Dan Ade, who is a local bartender at Joe Blues here in San Antonio. Tonight we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of fun, crazy shit. It's been an interesting week. 4th of July just passed. Tonight's beer is going to be Squatter's Russian Imperial Stout, known as Outer Darkness, and you'll see why as we talk later in the show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, we're back with the Beercast episode 2. I'm here with Aaron Jarvis.
Hello.
And Dan Ade, our special guest.
Hello.
Dan is the one of the bartenders at Joe Blues, which is our local bar. He's also a very big beer connoisseur.
I love beer.
And slightly retarded.
No, I'm not.
So, Aaron, how's your week been?
Pretty slow. Regular. Waiting for the new job.
Still waiting, huh?
Still waiting.
So what are we drinking tonight?
Tonight we are drinking Squatters out of Salt Lake City, and I think they're also somewhere else in Utah, but mostly Salt Lake City. Their Outer Darkness Russian-style Imperial Stout from their Reserve series.
How big of a beer is this?
10.5 ABV.
Nice.
Should have looked up the IBUs before we started. It's all good. 10.5 Russian Imperial Stout.
Is that a big beer for Russian Imperial, or is that pretty light?
That's pretty standard for any Imperial Stout, whether it's Russian or not. Russian style, not made in Russia.
So what's Dan's take on Russian style IPAs?
I love them. I was going to try a Russian accent, but I'm horrible at Russian accents, so we're just going to say I love it.
But it's not an IPA.
The Ruskies are good.
I'm sorry, Russian stout.
Can I open it?
Go ahead and
Are we
start.
ready, everybody?
Yes.
Woohoo!
Sounds good so far. So this is actually a bigger volume beer than the normal Bombers, right? It's I believe it's 1.9 ounces versus 1.5 ounces.
5? Yeah. This actually is a little bigger.
4 ounces more.
So for the cost, it's actually a pretty good beer. I believe it was $10. So holy shit, that looks like you're pouring blood into the cup. It's really thick. It's per the label. They said it's the darkest beer you're gonna find, and I believe them at this point in time. There's almost no way to see through this.
And holding it up to the lamp, I cannot really make out the light behind the beer at all. And it is 65 IBUs.
So there's a little bit of bitterness to this. So as Jarvis is pouring, we're not used to having 3 people on here, so there may be some intermittent back and forth going on. But Dan, why don't you give us your take? Get up a little closer to the mic and give us your take of what you think so far from your smell and from.
Okay, so definitely a very dark roast on this. I mean, as is most Russian styles, the maltiness comes through left and right. The carbonation on it. This is definitely not a nitro. Probably have to say, yeah, pure carbonation on the bottling.
Get a little bit closer to the mic so you can lift the mic up a little bit, Dan.
I'm trying to leave it for both of us. So yeah, definitely going to get chocolate notes on it. Maybe a little bit of red plum. Can't really make out any of like casking from it, like any kind of wood notes or anything like that. Maybe I will get some in the tasting, but
Since Dan's our guest tonight, why don't we give him the first taste?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's definitely super smooth. You can definitely tell that it has that 65 IBUs on it. It's got a bitterness on the back end. Very, very dark roast. So it's going to be like, over roasted coffee. Going to get, bitterness from that. Little on the sweet side on the front.
I definitely taste the sweet side to that.
Yeah.
Jarvis, so what's your thoughts?
Definitely digging very sweet, kind of roasted, almost like candy sugar, like Belgian candy-ish kind of sugar. Little hints of like toffee, almost whiskey. It's like a slight alcohol burn from the higher ABV.
Yeah, you can definitely taste the alcohol in this.
It's good. It's balanced. What do I say? 65 IBUs, but it's not overly bitter. It's very, very well balanced.
Yeah, this is a surprising success. So we were looking at Jarvis and I talked about it, and we wanted to go with more of the double or imperial based off of last week's podcast with the space cake, which was really good. We accomplished that. We almost went with another clown shoes, but we felt like it'd be a disservice to you guys, the listeners, by going clown shoes. So we stumbled across this, and this is pretty amazing. I personally don't drink stouts. I fear them.
I can attest to him saying, I will not drink this beer because it is a stout.
Yes, and this is actually like candy in my mouth. It literally feels amazing.
It's like your morning coffee. Like I could literally wake up in the morning, crack open a bottle of this, and it would give me just the same rush as the coffee I would drink. Maybe a little less sugar because I love my sugar, but
and that's part of the dangerous side of this particular beer is like I could see myself doing this in the morning.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is definitely a wake up, yawn, stretch, and go grab a cup of coffee and accidentally grab this and be like,
oh, this is just as good.
Yeah, exactly.
That might make for a really long day though, if you start drinking this entire bottle.
Or a really fun day. I mean,
well, and that's why we have our Sunday fun days. So on a side note, it's now a couple hours after midnight, almost 3:00 in the morning here in San Antonio. Yesterday was 4th of July, which is a epic disappointment because we didn't have downtown fireworks like we do every year, which always makes for a great show where Jarvis and I usually drink.
Actually,
and we're
we didn't
works.
have fireworks from Hemisphere last year either.
No, we did.
I'm pretty sure we did not.
No, I have pictures of it.
Okay, I'm still going to doubt you. But,
Okay. But that being said,
but either way, if there was no Hemisphere fireworks last year, there were bootleg fireworks
yes,
from
that direction.
you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and incriminate myself. I did do illegal fireworks last year. Scotty was not involved. Other people were out in the parking lot because Scotty was pouring beer and drinks and wine. And
so for those who have no idea who we're talking about, we'll just keep it as you have no idea who we're talking about.
I like it. But I just incriminated myself. Fuck it.
But so
Totally worth it.
So this year's kind of been like a quiet 4th of July, a lot of Facebook posts and other oorah things, but I got to hang out with some great people like Aaron, and Dan showed up a little bit late after he got off work. But today's now the 5th of July. It's Sunday Fun Day in our own little weird Reich. So what's been going on in everyone's life? Dan, how has things been with you? I know you've had a lot going on this week.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm constantly back and forth. I go to Laredo, seems like twice a month, sometimes even more. Got to keep up with the in-laws, that kind of stuff.
The soon-to-be in-laws or the...
We just go ahead and call them the in-laws. I mean, it's it's pretty much a set-in-stone deal. But, yeah, that and having fun little ventures in Mexico, trying not to get shot or decapitated on live television. You know, that's always fun. And the always important drinking of beers.
Yes. Well, of course, the beer. This beer is actually really fucking good. I can't hide that.
So you are coming around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For stouts,
Definitely around for stouts. So let's talk about Dan here. I've known Dan for what, almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Dan started out as the bar back, then the door guy at 1919, which is right below Joe Blues, which is our primary, Jarvis's and I's primary bar.
And chef.
And that's
Or
right.
Chef de cuisine.
No, chef de cuisine was not it. I was pretty much, if you want to get it technical, I was probably considered her sous chef. But yeah, no, actually I started out door first, and then I started in bar back and then chef. And then after that, ventured up, moving on up to the north side, I guess you would call it, whenever I went upstairs to a different bar.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I think Joe Blues is a far better match for you than 1919.
Oh, yeah.
But so
Definitely.
So Dan actually made it to the second round of was it MasterChef or?
Yeah, it was MasterChef.
There was some issues going on, but I really think that 1919 and a lot of other places have missed out on his creativity and his ability to be a great chef. But that being said, now he's a lazy fuck who's a bartender.
I wouldn't really say lazy fuck. I mean, it's kind of a cakewalk. As far as Joe Blues goes, it's probably the easiest bar I've ever worked at before in my life.
What's your busiest night? Like 12 people?
Yeah, maybe 12 plus 3 kids that I have to kick out and say sorry, it's 21 and up only. Then a couple drunkards and a couple hobos, but other than that, or is that PC?
Yeah,
should I say homeless?
Well, hobos are people who ride on trains.
Okay, homeless people that venture up from the river.
Hey, but oh Jesus! So Jarvis, there's been a lot of shit that's gone on since our last podcast.
Well, not a whole lot.
Well, you've had some ups and downs. America's had some ups and downs.
Well, yeah, that's just life. You gotta
Roll with the punches.
Yeah, it's like Big Lebowski. Gutters and strikes, man. Gutters and strikes.
So where are we at today? Give us your opinion. Tell us what you think.
Well, that's kind of a general.
Well, people want to know what the Jarvis thinks.
Well, I need a little bit more direction than that. Overall, I would say strike for recent developments.
Really?
Getting rid of the Confederate flag on federal property.
That's a positive.
That's a strike. Like, if you want to have it in your front yard, cool. But it should not be on any federal court, any federal monuments. Like,
so what do you think of the people arguing the semantics of the finite things like, oh, it's not the Confederate flag, it's a Confederate battle flag?
It is. And, well, whether it's Confederate or Confederate battle flag, it's still the flag representing people saying, we are leaving America. We are trying to not be a part of this anymore. So it's kind of treasonous, but that's how America started. So that's why at your house, fine. Don't give a fuck. Freedom of speech, great. But on federal property, no, does not belong there.
So let me ask you this. TV Land recently canceled the Dukes of Hazzard solely based off the Confederate flag on the car.
That I'm not down with. I think that's too far.
Dan, what do you think about this whole Confederate flag shit?
Well, I think everyone misinterprets that general flag, and it's gotten a bad rap. During the Civil War, there was literally 17 different flags for the Confederacy. This was one of them. I mean, they had so many poor old ladies, whipping up another flag every week because, they had more states that seceded from the nation, that kind of stuff. So to me personally, I think it's a little bit overdone. I don't think that it should have any bearing. It's Alabama, right? Has it hanging from
Georgia.
Georgia. Sorry, my apologies. Georgia. I know of one. I know of one definitely. I didn't know if any other one did.
I take that back. South Carolina has a law that says that you can't take it down from the federal property or from the state house unless.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I don't think it has any bearing. It should not be on any state's capital, because that's basically saying that you're willing to do it again. And with all the lives that were lost, why? Like, what? I mean, hash it out in some other way other than killing lots of people that have nothing to do with it. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Just be smart about it. That's what it comes down to.
No, definitely agree with that. I mean, let's face it. There's two ways to look at this. It's a great rebel yell pop media flag, which is kind of what the Dukes of Hazzard were. Now, there's also the true historical connotations of it, which was it was a representation of a group of states that decided to leave the United States of America and create their own country based off their beliefs that states' rights superseded federal rights. At that core, what were they arguing about? Slavery.
Yeah, definitely slavery was probably one of the top reasons.
But that being said, should we represent it as high in esteem as the American flag, or even more so, a state flag? So for people who don't understand, when you fly flags, this is something you learn in the military. The highest flying flag is always the American flag.
Except for Texas,
but that being said, the state flag of Texas,
it can't fly higher, but it can fly at the same level.
Yeah.
And that's the only
being
one.
said, it's only the state flag of Texas that can fly at the same height. So then you have the states who fly at a lower height than the American flag. A battle flag is never flown with other flags. It's there to basically say, hey, I'm on your side and don't blow us up, being the other troops on the battlefield.
Exactly. And that's exactly what that flag was.
Yeah.
You know, the rebel flag was always basically a war flag.
But the stars and bars to people like myself who grew up with the Dukes of Hazzard, there's been many memes where it's like George Jefferson said honky 21 times in one episode, but the Dukes of Hazzard never said anything even remotely racist.
No, actually, they had several different races in there that were really good friends of theirs.
Yeah.
An episode where they even defended minorities.
Exactly.
Jarvis, what'd you say?
There's actually an episode of Dukes of Hazzard where they defend minorities.
Yeah.
But that does not negate the fact that that flag should not be flown anymore.
Right.
This should have been taken care of just the same as with marriage equality. It's like America as a whole, we're finally getting around to this. This should have been settled 30 years ago.
So let's
keep Dukes of Hazzard on TV.
Yeah. I mean, they're not flying the Confederate flag. It's part of a prop.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you've watched those, is it Cars.com commercials, the one where it's the Dukes of Hazzard, and they're like, "We think we need a new car." They've actually taken the flag off the car, for the commercial purposes. And whenever they get the new car, there's not one on there either. It's just an orange car.
Yeah.
So they're willing to work around it. So why would you take away part of people's history as far as like a really good TV show, in my opinion?
And in all honesty, it's one of the few TV shows of the 70s that actually had a moral compass to it.
Kind of debatable because they were
outlaws and they were
a little bit, but they were like fun-loving rebels. They weren't like, we're gonna go burn down these motherfuckers' church.
Yeah,
they were just, they had their hijinks. It was
clean fun. It's a comedy aspect of it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, I kind of agree with Jarvis, but in the same sense, it was kind of like a Robin Hood scenario where, you know, no harm, no foul kind of thing, where I don't know, it just seemed playful, energetic. I mean, I grew up watching it, and I never thought, oh, well, running from the cops is awesome, so I don't think anybody else should think that way either, so I don't see why.
Well, and in today's police brutality atmosphere, we should be looking at the Dukes of Hazzard as a leader in social thought of like cops overstepping their boundaries.
Yeah, like run from the cops and they won't shoot you and kill you, but now that's not the case. Like
But it's like,
if you flinch,
but
you could get shot.
For any of us asking, well, why are we being stopped? We're now either tased, beaten, or shot.
Oh, and so many people that are just so blindly like pro cop. And I understand they have their job, whatever, and there are criminals, whatever. But the people that will say, well, if you don't break the law, you don't have to fear the cops. Bullshit, because there's been so many innocent people that have been pulled over
that haven't
unarmed and murdered, essentially.
Yeah.
Murdered.
Yeah,
not just killed, murdered.
We don't break the law, and yet people still come up dead.
Well, my biggest issue with it is, sorry, I jumped back on the mic. My biggest issue with it is cops break the laws just like everybody else. So why are they held at a higher standard than anyone else? I've seen 2 cops driving their cruisers while drunk. Either that or they were extremely tired. I don't know. I didn't pull them over and find out, but whenever you're going 3 lanes across and then back, I'm pretty sure you're under the influence of something. And like every day I see a cop break the law, and yet they want us to not break the law because that's the thing to do. Well, to avoid trouble, don't break the law. Well, if we end up not breaking the law or giving up our rights, and they're held to a higher standard, then that's going to end up coming back on us, and we're going to have civil unrest and all kinds of other things come from it.
Well, let's go back on a step on that. So a cop is sworn to enforce the law, and there's a lot of meaning to that, enforce the law. My grandfather, who I never met, my dad knew him for 4 years of his life before he had an aneurysm and died, was a beat cop in Providence, Rhode Island in the 30s. He probably beat up a lot of people, but at the same time, he interacted because they were on foot. They were engaged in the community. That being said, if you jaywalked, do you think he's going to give you a ticket? No, he's going to grab you by the scruff of your neck and go, hey, fucker, don't do this again. Where today's cops are all about raising funds for the city.
Exactly. I have a great case in point on that one. Living in San Antonio, I moved here in 2009, July of 2009. Was new to the city, decided to come do some touristy things and venture down into downtown and have a good time. And one night I went out and I went to go eat, and I was doing this all by myself because I didn't really know too many people with that back then. I was walking from St. Mary's across Houston, and I was walking whenever the sign said 1 second left. So I was in the intersection whenever Raw disapproves of this story, apparently. I was in the intersection whenever the 1 second mark hit, so obviously I was jaywalking. It was my own fault, whatever. I get to the other side, and 7 bike cops surround me in a circle. I'm going, like, is there a donut convention in town? Like, why did 7 cops show up?
But that was only half jaywalking.
It was only half jaywalking. I should have got a half ticket, but no. I got a $350 fine.
Let's say what?
Yeah, $350 ticket for jaywalking.
Wait, but you entered the intersection
while it was still on.
How was that jaywalking?
I would have thought that. I mean, there's no way they could prove it or disprove it either way, but they probably wouldn't have shown up for the hearing, so...
But I do understand you were a tourist at the time, so...
Yeah, but I mean, I've run into that problems before. I had a racing ticket a long time ago, and it was literally one of the weirdest things in the world because I wasn't racing at the time. I've been a huge racer forever. Case in point, that's a totally different story. But this one particular time, I had a friend of mine who pulled up next to me at a light, and we were talking back and forth, and both of us had standard cars, five gears.
Not standard.
No, they were not standard, but they did have manual transmissions. Sorry. So basically what we were doing was we took off from the light, and sorry, we got some hijinks going on around here.
You're a hijinks.
We took off from the light, and we were talking, so we weren't paying attention to our gear ratio or anything like that. We weren't changing gears. We were just sitting there talking back and forth, and a cop pulls us both over and says that we were racing because he heard our cars at a high rate of revs. And I went to the court to fight it. I was the only time that I've ever actually tried to fight something. I went there, and the cop actually did show up, and they took his word over mine. That's what they're going to do every single time.
Which is one thing they do, is because they believe that if you're a sworn officer,
that means
have
you're
some sort of
you have no fault.
magic power over everybody else. But that being said, though, so Dan, let's go back to the beer real quick. What do you
got
think?
it.
Okay, so we're 25 minutes into this podcast. What's your thought on the beer?
Well, I've been holding it in my hand to let it warm up, to get some more noses off of it. And as it warms up, you can actually get some of that whiskey note off of it.
Stop being fucking technical. What do you think? Is it good beer or bad
It's
beer?
freaking amazing beer. I love it. I'm a stout drinker. I'm Irish, Welsh, Scandinavian, and Scottish, so I can drink anything that's...
You basically kill everything that's in front of you.
Yeah, pretty much. I was born in the wrong era. I should have come out of my mom's womb with an axe in hand, but that's a totally different story. But yeah, my primary go-tos are whiskey and stouts, and every now and then I change it up just for fun. But I mean, it's not to say that I don't enjoy IPAs or Pilsners or anything else. It's just that's what I go to. But yeah, I think it's an amazing beer.
Jarvis, your thoughts?
It was definitely sweet before. On the nose, it's way sweeter now as it's warmed up over 25 minutes. Or 23 minutes since we opened it, whatever.
26 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, but we didn't open it at the beginning.
So,
But still, like, a lot more of those sweet notes come out. A lot more of that kind of whiskey-ish alcohol.
So, by the way, we are also live on Periscope right now. It's just happened right now.
It's fucking delicious, man. Buy this. Go out and buy Outer Darkness.
So we may get some questions from our Periscope viewers, and please ask, if you're on Periscope, any questions you want of Jarvis, Dan, or
and
myself.
don't forget Ra.
And Rob.
Ra the Black Cat.
And Ra, the cat,
Razzie.
who's an evil
Who, if
motherfucker.
you will now look, disapproves of this beer highly.
Yes,
And this is like perfect. Outer Darkness with Ra.
yes.
He should be the mascot for
Those
Squatters'
eyes,
Outer Darkness.
those eyes actually do look like Ra's eyes when he's pissed. So, let's talk about some other things from the week. So you mentioned the Confederate flag and that load of whatever the hell that thing came with. So what's your thought on marriage equality and all these people, and especially here, being here in Texas with all these fuckers saying, we're going to make special laws so that people can't be happy?
Yeah. Who's the Attorney General with the wonky eye?
Dumb motherfucker, I think is his official title.
Well, that's just mean. But yeah, how he was saying.
We're in San Antonio. I'm sorry, I'm answering to some of these things.
And that's fine. Whatever the Attorney General's name is, and he's telling clerks like, no, stick to your moral whatever. You don't have to follow the law of the land. Like, no, you do.
You really do,
And
you're in a governmental position
like-
where
just because you don't like it doesn't mean you can't do your job based on like this is the law.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a public servant, whether you like it or not, fucking put that aside at work. Do your job, then you can go home and hate on anybody and everybody.
which is the sad
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
with this whole way that not just Texas but many states are taking it is, if you would have thought about it, if it would have gone the other way, and people telling their state employees, ignore it, follow your moral heart, and allow people to be married, it would have been a major uproar on the right side. I don't see this being a religious issue, because anyone who understands their religion knows that the key underlying principle is do the right thing.
Well, no, it is a religious issue, and it's people that are saying like, my God says you can't get gay married, where Jesus never talked about gay marriage.
Well, he did it in two verses.
Jesus said that.
Yes, but what it comes down to is as this gay guy put up this immaculate video, and it wasn't about gay love or not. It has to do with the way we have a beer league
You
Tuesdays.
said earlier about like whatever relationship with lust, but
it had to do with like, are you being lustful versus loveful? And
either way, that's the same people that will say this is an abomination against marriage, even though they've been married 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Like,
Yeah.
how is that not?
well,
And no, and that's the
and
same
that's
people that
okay
say
for some people.
no. And there's some verse that says, "No man shall undo what God has done." Speaking specifically about marriage, like, and we've talked about this before, where you can't wear clothes of mixed fibers, you can't touch a pig.
Yeah, but for some reason that is not important. But
Well, yeah,
two
because
people,
people cherry pick.
but two people absolutely in love with each other.
Then what does it matter? And comedians have been saying this for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, anybody should be able to get married. Like, they should be just as miserable as everybody else.
But when you think about it, okay, so we as Christians, and that's what I was raised
I'm
as.
not a Christian.
But no, I'm saying
Me neither.
We as the people that I was raised with.
Fair enough. And I went to private school, Catholic school, parochial school from kindergarten to 2nd grade. My dad was raised Catholic. My mom Baptist.
And you said the magic. And you said the magic word, which is Catholic. That's how I was raised. But in the eyes of some of these evangelistical Christians, Catholic is not being Christian because we believe in whatever, in blah 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 blah.
And Catholicism is an offshoot of Christianity, like under
No. Actually, if you
just
look
like with beer styles, where there's the huge
Yeah.
like ales and lagers.
yeah,
like,
and that's why I'm tying it back to this
Christianity is
podcast.
like lagers, and Catholicism is an offshoot of that.
No, actually, if you look at the
Dan wants to get on this mic. I'm sorry.
if you look at the history of it, Catholicism is the root. There was one religion when Jesus started, when Paul and all that, it was Catholicism, and then when Martin Luther made the press, and it all branched out from there. My point is, we can't agree on a fucking simple common denominator. What did Jesus come here for? Just like Buddha, it was for love and prosperity and be good humans.
And understanding.
Yes.
Understanding being the key word.
Supposedly, the difference that separates us from the militant Islamists is
Well, not us, the hardline.
we understand the difference between literal scripture and interpretive scripture.
But the problem is, as even in Christianity, there's interpretation of anything. When you hear a preacher talk, you could go to three Baptist churches, same exact branch of the religion, hear the same exact verse from each church, and that preacher is going to give you some sort of interpretation that's different than the other ones.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And it's like a friend of mine posts on Facebook, 40 things to ask yourself before you say that you changed your profile to a rainbow. And some of this stuff is ridiculous. I'm going to look it up right now.
And I will say that I totally support gay rights. I'm 158% fine that there's marriage equality now, but I did not do the cheesy change my profile picture to rainbow overlay, whatever. And that's fine that people did that, but I just won't do that, and I'm glad I didn't do that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say something kind of crazy. I don't necessarily support gay rights. I support human rights.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. And that's where I'm going. It's like, if I believe that I am entitled to love whoever it is that I love,
Well,
then it shouldn't matter.
There was no
where I
previous
stick
law
my
against loving
penis.
anybody. It was
Yeah.
just not recognizing
So,
a marriage.
So here we go. This is on the gospelcoalition.org. How long have you believed that gay marriage is something to be celebrated?
It shouldn't be any more celebrated or condemned than any other marriage.
But what?
So
what,
0 years, 8,000 years,
What Bible verse led you to change your mind?
none of them.
The one that said that God loves everybody.
Yeah, the one that said treat your enemies or love your enemies as you love yourself. Turn the other cheek.
Or this one. How would you make a positive case from Scripture that sexual activity between two persons of the same sex is to be celebrated?
Again, it shouldn't be celebrated just the same as sex between different sexes is never celebrated. It just is.
Unless there's a lot of vodka in party favors.
See, I think I interpret celebration as a different thing. I say you should celebrate it because I think you should celebrate any relationship between two people that are actually in love. I mean,
but it said sex, not relationship.
But
no, it's a from the same sex.
From the same sex, but it's talking about a relationship.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, it should be celebrated just like any other relationship because it's like casting a stone in a glass house. If you're bitter because you're in a horrible marriage or whatever, then you're probably not going to be for anybody's, happiness. So
exactly,
get a beer and drown yourself.
Well, that's why I don't celebrate anybody's anything because I'm single and bitter. So fuck everybody the same way.
Yes, you are, Jarvis. Yes, you are.
So Jarvis, question number 5 would have been perfect for you. Do you think Jesus would have been okay with homosexual behavior between two consenting adults?
Absolutely. He hung out with a bunch of hookers and homeless people and thieves.
I mean, these questions are actually more pro
but that's
gay
why,
marriage than they are anti-gay marriage.
That's why people... This is why I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I like the idea of Jesus. I don't know if he ever lived. If he did, good for him.
Absolutely.
Because he had the right idea and like the...
Well,
the old saying from Gandhi, like, I like your Christians, or no, I like your Christ. I don't much care for your Christians. They're not much like him.
Exactly.
That's nail on head right there.
Yeah, that's...
Well, and here you go.
Gandhi's living the same thing as Jesus or Buddha or any of the other prophets that have been written about
Jarvis,
that claim that they're born half God, half human. The story's been told so many times before Jesus.
Somebody just said they love your beard.
This guy was born half God, half human. He had these superpowers. What's his name? Jesus? No, Hercules. That story's been told way before so many times.
Wait, on a side note, whenever they're talking about they like your beard, did they say Daniel or Jarvis?
They didn't say, but Jarvis's head has been in your way.
Oh, boo. See? Now you can see my beard. What do you think of my beard? That's what I want to know.
Zach, welcome to our chat room. So we follow up with this, which sums up the whole crazy Christianity thing. It says number 5 was, would Jesus have been okay, like we just talked about?
Of course he would.
Number 6, if so, why did he reassert Genesis' definition of marriage as one man and one woman?
I don't know that he did. I will admit that I am ignorant to the New Testament and even the Old Testament.
The beer tonight was, what was it again?
Outer Darkness.
Outer Darkness by who?
And we need to pour some more for you.
By Squatters.
By Squatters out of Utah.
Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, they're a little bit all over Utah.
And yes,
primarily.
Many of our friends are over, or were over at the Widespread Panic. And here is the bottle.
For 3 days in a row.
Yes.
Yes, beards do carry bacteria.
Not if you clean them regularly.
But if you actually know what a shower is,
you're pretty good if you know what a shower is.
And we're
homeless people with beards. I mean,
everything carries bacteria. I've heard before. Again, I read it on the internet.
That sounds like Brianna right there.
That as humans, actually more of our body weight is from invading viruses, bacteria, whatever, than our actual cells that we create.
Well, I do know as humans we do dump a shitload of cells a day, and it comes out to several ounces, which doesn't sound like a lot.
8 ounces or something like that. But I mean, if you think of that, that's half a pound.
Yeah, but when you think about it, like that's half a pound of yourself being given up.
Yeah, hair,
day,
skin,
all that.
Like the whole 9 yards.
But we replace
See, this is where Jarvis becomes selfish and he pours himself
And
beer.
a side note...
I was getting to your beer.
I know you were.
A side note, you can actually lose 10 pounds in body weight from taking a poop every single day.
I probably do.
Yeah. So if they say if you're on a diet and then you see you lost 10 pounds, think back to the last really good poop that you took.
That probably
I
something.
don't know what you've been eating that would equate to 10 pounds of literal shit, but
Small babies.
As I'm sorry,
those are not small babies, my friend. Those are
Mike Calazar
at least
said it's
medium
called
sized.
diarrhea.
I came out 11 pounds 6 ounces, so that's pretty small baby compared to me.
So I'm going to open this up to the audience real quick
But then you have to
on the
eat that-
Periscope. Does anyone have any questions for Jarvis or for Dan?
But then you have to eat that 11-pound baby and only process 1.5 pounds of nutrients
You're
to
eating babies?
shit out the 10 pounds of baby that you did not process.
Wait, you're eating babies and shitting them out?
No, why?
Not the bones.
Well, you're gonna shit out the bones.
Well, yeah, the
No, I don't
bones are
eat
the
the
most
bones.
the bones are the heaviest
Well, that's
thing.
gonna add to the weight. So then, this is just a ridiculous argument.
It is. It's a very good argument to have with a squatter's outer darkness stout.
So
Gotta love those plugs. And I don't even work for them. Pay me some money.
The next time you tell dead baby jokes, be sure to grab Squatters.
Out of darkness.
Okay, so we
Reserve
we have a
series.
question. What's your all's take on the Confederate flag?
Oh, okay. They apparently weren't tuned in for that one. I think
Who's
me
this?
personally, this is Dan. I think that it shouldn't be flown anymore. I don't think it has a purpose.
Personal or federal or
Any at all. I mean, if you want to fly it at your house, fly it inside. That doesn't make sense.
It's not flying.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like the actual action of having the flag or posted in, that kind of thing. Keep it inside. Like, I think it's
we don't speak Spanish here.
what?
Someone just asked a Spanish question.
Oh, yeah, no Spanish. Mon poquito.
Someone just asked, whipped it out. Who do you want to whip what out to who?
I'm not whipping nothing out.
Me neither.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm keeping mine inside.
Well, the two guys on the camera said no whipping it out.
It's a different podcast.
Jarvis, what's your take on the Confederate flag?
So, Dan, you think only inside, only indoors?
I think it's as far as like your actual right to fly that flag, you have a right to fly that flag, but keep it inside your house. No one else needs to see it.
I mostly agree with that. But I think as long as it's on private property, freedom of speech, do it. But it should not be on any federal government building, property. And this just like marriage equality should have been dealt with 40 fucking years ago. Like this has been a long time coming. At least it's finally here now. And with the flag, with the Confederate flag, it means tons of different things to tons of different people. Some people see it as just nostalgia, whatever. I grew up with this. It doesn't mean anything racist.
So let me ask you guys this. There's a lot of black people who have been putting up, I support the Confederate flag in T-shirts and so forth. So are they dumb? Are they blind? Do they not understand? Or is it really just pride in the South?
It's a mixture of a lot of things.
Before you answer that, I'm not going to ask you for your take on those people.
No.
Because I think everyone's individual opinions matter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But in general, are they misinformed?
No, I don't. I mean, honestly, our school systems suck anyway, so maybe they are misinformed. But to be honest with you, anybody that knows that flag knows what it represents. And for them to do it, it's kind of like one of those things where they're taking the power back. In my opinion, it could be them taking the power back and saying, in the gay community, a lot of words are very taboo. A lot of words are looked down upon, and they take those words and they start using them for their own purposes. And so they take the power out of that word, I guess, in a sense. Maybe they're doing that, or maybe they just have a good recollection of what that actually stood for, which is like, it wasn't, everyone thinks it's primarily about slavery. It's not. It was about states' rights. One of those states' rights happened to be slavery.
Right.
So yes, that was probably the primary issue for the Civil War, but I mean, at the same time, there was probably 70 or 80 other issues in there.
So we just got a question from one of our viewers here on Periscope, and they asked, "Who of you thinks it's racist? Who of you thinks it's racist?" The Confederate flag.
It's not about whether it's racist or not. It's about how you use it. If you use it in a racial intent, then yes. If you're a slack-jawed hillbilly from the sticks and you like make racial slurs and stuff like that, then you're using it for a racial term.
Right. So I have to agree with you completely, because if you look at the Dukes of Hazzard example that we talked about earlier, which we weren't on Periscope at the time, but if you look at that example, it is literally a bunch of slack-jawed hillbillies.
But the Duke brothers never used it as a racial thing.
Right. No, but what I'm saying, though, is as a Southern pride issue of this is
the
where
South shall rise again.
So
they're kind of declaring that we're going to try again to secede.
Right.
Which is, again, basically treasonous.
Right. But what I'm saying, though, is in the terms of the show, it was a Southern pride issue of, we did this. We may or may not have lost, and we may or may not rise again. I'm not gonna.
For the show, I don't think it was a Southern pride thing. It was just, it's there.
Well, I'm talking about their characters, but yeah. For the show, I think it was.
But I think
at the time,
that term Southern pride is kind of like a misnomer. It wasn't a Southern pride thing. It was like, this is what we do. And they had black friends on the show, and they did stand up for civil rights. And they did jump some mud hills that they shouldn't have, and they ran from the cops that they probably weren't justified doing. But
where I
think they should have kept Dukes of Hazzard on TV.
Yes, and I hope they do bring the Dukes of Hazzard back. Where I was going with that comment was basically, in their lineage of the characters, obviously not the actors, but the way it was written. This was something that's been around for a while that is common to the era that they filmed this in.
To me, in my personal opinion, sorry, this is Dan, I'm taking over for this one. For me, the actual the way I interpret it is, they're two good old Southern boys that are rebelling from the law, pretty much. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that show, that flag, or anything else had anything to do with racism. Now, I have seen a couple episodes where it's been, tiptoeing on the gray line, but I just think it was a good old, good old show to show Southern, pride and fun, and
purely from the filmmaker standpoint, it was a device. That's
very much.
As a filmmaker myself, if I'm going to write a Southern hillbilly script, in the time that
they were smarter than your average hillbilly.
But in
yes, definitely.
In the time that the show was written, again, and that's the thing that everyone misses out, is in the context of the time that it was written.
And there were way more racist things going on at the time
exactly.
on TV. Archie Bunker.
That it was very much accepted that the Confederate flag was there, and the beer we're drinking is
Squatters Outer
Darkness. Sorry, but it was very
darkness.
It was very much accepted, and it was in context with what the characters who were living in the South at the time believed.
Exactly, yeah. Dude, I've grown up with this stuff. There's actually I grew up in Wichita Falls, Texas. It's a very shithole town in the middle of nowhere. 110,000 people, and the only reason why it has 110,000 people is because one of the biggest training bases is there.
For National Reserve?
No, it's an air flight. No, it's 82nd and 83rd.
Hold on real quick. Davies World, the Confederate flag needs to go. Will you, Davies, will you join our conversation? So why does it need to go, in your opinion? Let's see if we get a response.
I completely would agree with you. I don't think it has any reason to be around anymore.
I said why it needs to go.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
no, he made the comment, so I want to see if he wants to join in on our conversation.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for his response, I'm going to finish this off. I grew up in Wichita Falls, Texas, shithole town in the middle of nowhere. And there's if you leave Wichita Falls, you're on 287 and you're heading towards Dallas. Right past Bowie, there's this little town called Sunset. And I remember distinctly as a kid, we were going for a high school football game into Dallas. And we stopped at Sunset in a little gas station. And I shit you not, they have signs still on the street today in 2015 that say, if you're black, don't be out after dark.
Well, I have friends that have gone to see their parents in Oregon.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Exactly. There's little pockets of that
and that'll
idiocracy.
It doesn't matter the longitude or the latitude.
Yes.
But someone just told us we are too white, and I think they're referring to us talking about this subject. Jarvis, do you have any comment on that? In general, they said you guys are too white.
I'm extremely white. I'm the whitest white guy there is. Like I said before, I'm Irish, Scottish, Scandinavian, and
but
what
like
else?
basically,
Welsh.
we shouldn't be talking about this subject.
Why?
Well, yeah. One, I'm actually a quarter Mexican, Hispanic. My dad is half Hispanic, half mutt on his white side, on his dad's side. And my grandma's mom was from Mexico, which, again, is all kinds of mudded up. So just like everybody else, we're all mutts. And to say anybody's too anything to talk about any race is just fucking stupid.
So someone just said that saying the Confederate flag needs to go is the same as saying the rainbow flag needs to go.
That's then they totally missed the point. The Confederate flag should not. Here, Dan, you take it.
Okay,
Dan,
so
take over.
One means equality, the other one means rebelliousness. There's two totally different meanings for those flags, so saying that that's the same is just retarded. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yes,
we're giving you a big
we're
thumbs
gonna-
up for that one, and I mean the middle thumb.
Is
right
equal
there.
rights right? Well, if
Of course, equal rights is right.
hold on real quick. So the person who asked this question, what is your definition of equal rights?
It kind of
Not you. No. I'm asking the.
Oh, okay. You're asking the person. Sorry.
So what is
I was
your
gonna say, it's
definition
kinda
of equal rights?
self-explanatory.
Because like I look at everyone personally. This is Tom here, and I'm gonna go to this view. So I look at everyone as a human fucking being. I don't give a shit if you're fucking great, and we could go on for 20 minutes. Ancestor came from Africa. You're not a fucking African American. You're a fucking human being.
I hold human beings to the same standard. I don't hold a race to a different standard. I don't hold a religion or anything. All I say is be a good person. I don't care if you love a certain type of person. I don't care if your skin color is different. I don't look at that stuff. I don't care if you say I'm white. To me, I'm not white. I'm a person. I'm a human being.
And I think I honestly think that's the most important thing. It's like we've lost that ability to say you're a fucking human being. Like the more that we attach ourselves to these labels and these iconoclastic things of, well, I'm an African American, you're an African American.
Well, even beyond that, I only judge people by one criteria. If you're an asshole, I'm not going to be friends with you. I'm not going to talk to you. You're going to be totally cut off.
Well,
outside of that, if you're not an asshole, cool.
Come hang out with me.
Yeah, we can be friends. We can
Have
talk.
a Squatter's Outer Darkness with me. I will share it with you.
By all means.
We're gonna end this Periscope session here, but here's the ultimate end of what we're saying, is that if you're a good person, I don't care whether you take it in the ass, take it in the mouth, take it in the pussy, take it in the fucking wherever,
Or don't take it at all.
or you
could
choose
be a
to be a
eunuch. I don't care.
metrosexual. It's all about being a good human being.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When it's all said and done,
We're all the same.
God does not look and say, oh, well, you were a darker human being than the lighter human being. No, he looks at it and says, fuck it. You're all my children. That's if you believe in that mythology.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remotely do. But that being said, I'm not going to hold that against you if you put your dick up somebody's ass because you love them. where all of these Bible verses go wrong is they talk about lust.
I've had plenty of girlfriends that I loved and I put up their ass. So it's the same thing.
But
Same thing.
here's the moral to where I'm going personally, is it's about lust. The Bible talks about lust. One of the 7 deadly sins is lust. It's not homosexuality. So if you can't get past that, then we have problems with your comprehension of what's being taught.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, the 7 deadly sins, there's none of them that say anything about homosexuality. Doesn't say anything about race.
Or butt fucking.
That's okay. Yeah, that too.
They're colorblind.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's the 7 deadly sins, and none of them have anything to do with any of the topics that are going on right now. So religion has no premise, to be honest with you.
Race.
Yeah, it's all out the window. It's
All right, we're gonna end this this podcast, this stream. So we've had 61 viewers and 3% retention.
And I hate all of them.
They are all pretty dumb.
I mean, some of the questions were pretty bad, to be honest with you.
But you know what though, it's good to have the conversation with people.
I mean, it is, but I mean, just having uneducated people listen.
No, you can't say that having uneducated people, because you don't know what their background is. They may be highly educated.
That's true. They may be just
brainwashed.
They may just be picking a fight, you know. Yeah, and I mean, I just put 2 and 2 together, and most of the time it comes out 4. Sometimes it comes out 8. I don't know why, but just have that problem. I think it's because I've been drinking too much Squatters Outer Darkness.
Okay, stop with the fucking
Series.
pathetic.
Reserve Series.
Reserve, super.
So okay,
Series.
but seriously,
Sorry, I'm working on my plugs for TV.
so we're at 56 minutes into this, which has gone by really quick,
Yeah, it seems really, really quick.
doesn't it? And this is what Jarvis and I experienced when we did our first one. It was like, holy fuck.
I mean, we should start making this longer. I'll bring more bottles.
The original plan was to do the podcast and get drunk, but
It's really hard. We're all seasoned drinkers.
it's going to take a lot of drinks for us to get drunk during the show, so we got to get drunk before. Otherwise,
I mean, I had a head start, and I know you guys did. So, I mean, this is a good end of the night beer. Definitely, this is a good anytime beer. Actually,
I don't even know how to describe this beer. So let's finish this up here at probably an hour and 5 minutes.
one more taste profile.
Do we have any more beer left to spread out?
yes, we have more beer.
Okay. I don't know how to describe this because I'm not a stout drinker, and I think this is some of the most amazing beer I've ever drank in my life.
You don't have to know how to describe it. Just you taste it and you say what. There's no wrong answer.
No, it's not about.
And that's why at the new job, like I'm supposed to be like the beer expert. Like bullshit. Taste the beer. Say what you taste. If you taste
Well, Jarvis,
lavender, there's no way that I can dispute. Like no bullshit. You don't taste lavender. If you taste lavender, you taste lavender.
what Jarvis was getting at was like, I don't know how to. Maybe taste was the wrong word, but I don't know how to rate this. Like, for me, I don't drink stout, so I've never experienced a stout.
Well, you seem highly for it, so I would say that for it being a stout that impressed you this much, to say such high regards about it, I would say you're probably gonna, for this one, until you start getting more into stouts, you're gonna probably rate it pretty high.
I'm gonna give this a 4.
And again, there's no wrong answer. It's what do you think? What do you taste?
I'm gonna rate this a 4 out of 5.
Okay, I was gonna ask what the scale was. Me, since I'm big into imperial stouts, and this is a really good one, but I'm gonna probably give it a more across the board. I'm gonna call it a 3.
I would personally go closer to 4. Like I'm gonna be that asshole. Like 3.7, 3.8 maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Or in that case, I'll go with a 3.5.
So if we round it all up, it's about a 4
I like that.
across the average.
I'm pretty drunk, but 3.7, 3.8 with your 4, that's like 3.8.
I'm saying if we round it up,
3.85.
round it up to the whole number.
3.3.
Yeah, we're not gonna round up. That's just ludicrous. Why would we do that? We're trying to do complicated math right now.
Stop with the math.
He's getting out the calculator,
Jesus Christ, Jarvis, put the calculator away.
and Raw is here to interject. He thinks it's a 3.8 as well. He thinks Tommy's full of shit.
You said 3.7?
3.7, 3.8.
Said 4.
He said 4, so average that out. It's probably a 3.85, maybe even closer to
11.
3.83. 3. Looks like a lot of butt cheeks to me.
3.
And Raw's approval for the win.
So if you hear him in the background, that's Rod the cat again. We talked about this last time. He's a mascot. Rod, do you have anything to say?
Apparently, he has a lot to say.
So tonight we had Aaron Jarvis, our normal host.
Good night and good luck.
Give us some background.
I like beer.
And we had our...
I've been dealing with beer since I was 21.
Bullshit. I say at least 16.
I say
All right,
13.
Yes, since I was 16, you are correct.
You started smoking when you were 13.
So 17, I can't do math.
I don't even remember how old you are now. You just had a birthday.
Yeah, me neither. Welcome to the club. Thanks.
So that's another plug for Outer Darkness. Darkness.
So
My
Dan,
echoes are getting horrible because I'm starting to feel a buzz.
Dan should not be talking on the microphone. Okay, so let's sum this up real quick. So Dan, tell us about you and who you are, because Dan is our special guest tonight.
Okay, I am a fun-loving guy. I love beer, whiskey. I hate
Mind
vodka.
you, you're not trying to date.
Oh no, God no. I'm a kept man. I have a wonderful girlfriend who we're coming up on 1 year, and I've already got the ring purchased. I got to. Oh shit. Yeah, I've got to still put down a little more money for the wedding band, but yeah, I got the engagement ring already purchased. I already talked to the parents, which was the scary part. Actually, no, it wasn't.
You got
The blessing. No, it was funny because
blessing?
yes.
God bless you.
It was funny because the first night that I went to her mom's house was 3 weeks 3 weeks after we were dating, and
You knew that soon?
no, yeah, I knew the moment that
Nice.
because the first date we had was before we moved. I moved her. That was the whole way we got together. Thank you, Joey's and Tim, for getting us together. I want to thank that. If it wouldn't have been for him, I mean, who knows what would have happened. Yeah, so it was an awesome night. We stayed up until 6 o'clock in the morning talking, and I knew from then on out that was the last one for me. Went 3 weeks in, and funny thing was her mom told her right before we went to go to bed that I was supposed to stay in the couch in the living room, and that didn't happen. And woke up the next morning, came out in my pajamas, and ran almost smack dab into her mom, and she didn't seem to have any problems with it, so we're doing okay.
Wait, so you walked smack dab into her mom naked?
No, in my pajamas. You misheard
Oh, I'm sorry.
that.
I'm sorry. I'm a pervert.
Yes,
Like,
yes, he is.
So, any last comments about this beer? I think we should talk about the beer because we are squatting the squatter's beer.
I think we've done a pretty good job with it. Like, yeah, I mean, 3.8333 is pretty damn good out of 5. I mean, that's better than 3/4.
So,
I recommend you buy it, even if you don't like stouts, because Tommy used to be opposed to stouts, and he tried this, and he liked it. It's a stout that non-stout drinkers will end up liking.
May I have some more, please?
there's a little bit more left, and Dan can have the
Yay.
rest. Fill them up.
I like being the special guest.
So, in summary of this podcast, which fuck that, we're not going to do it in summary. Just this beer is fucking good.
It's a damn good beer. I love Squatters. I've always loved Squatters.
We are not going to talk shit about squat. Well, we probably will talk shit about you Squatters because you're not a sponsor. So fuck you.
I'm going to talk shit about Salt Lake City and all you fucking Mormons.
Well,
I'm
Jesus
just kidding.
Christ, that's a fucking racist statement right there.
That's not racist.
That was religious.
But this beer came out of there, and they actually have a decent enough beer called it's their porter, Polygamy Porter, But the
Is that a pun on
under-
themselves?
The tagline underneath is so good, why have just one? Nailed it.
Yes, it was. That's really good. They also have the Hop Rising. I can't remember the name of their Pilsner. Do you remember the name of the Pilsner, Jarvis?
I do not.
They have a really damn good porter or a damn good Pilsner. They have the porter is amazing as well. But the Pilsner is actually one of the hoppiest Pilsners I've ever come across. It's actually 65 IBUs. I mean, it's
For a Pilsner?
yeah, for a Pilsner, it's retarded. And
Wow.
up until 6 Point Crisp, I'd never come across a porter or I keep saying porter. Damn it, I'm fucking drunk.
That's the point of the podcast.
Pilsner.
Pilsner.
But the one from Real Ale,
Hans Pils?
Hans Pils, that's like 55 or 60 IBUs.
But 65 IBUs for a Pilsner.
Hey,
Well, and
why don't you talk
even
into the
with the
microphone,
number-
fuckface?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get this microphone. 65 IBUs is really high for a Pilsner. And he was just talking about the Hans Pils, which 60, I think it's
I thought this stout was 65.
this is 65, yeah. But it's a stout. It's supposed to have some bitterness to it.
Balanced.
Yeah, very well. And actually, that one is too. That Pilsner from Squatters is really well balanced.
So, yeah. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to this because...
Also, the IBU count from the bittering from a stout, where it's going to be more from the roasted dark malt, not from the hops, where other beers like Pilsner, IPA, or anything else.
Whereas there's no
The
there's no
IBU
roast involved at all.
But that IBU count from those other styles is going to be more from the hops, where
So-
this hive of 65 IBU is going to be from the roasted malt.
Yeah, the bitterness from the roasted malt.
So I'm going to ask Stan. I'm going to ask Jarvis. What's our next beer? Is it a porter, a blonde?
No, not a porter, because we already did a dark beer. We just did a stout. Don't do a porter. And we talked about this last night. Some type of Belgian style, maybe.
I was drunk.
We did a double IPA, now a double stout, or Russian Imperial Stout.
I personally think if I'm invited back for the next one, which we have no idea whether that's going to happen or not. I'm getting the
Dan,
axe. I'm
no,
getting the
Dan.
axe. Apparently they don't like me.
He's a microphone
I kid.
sucker. No, we would love you back, Dan.
I think personally I would go with a Trappist, probably the 12,
The what?
the Trappist 12.
From
I'm sorry, from Bernard. How do you pronounce it?
the St. Bernardus ABT 12.
Thank you. He got the more technical name for it for me. Thank you.
Well, what we're actually looking for from Dan, I'd love your opinion on this. What we're looking for is styles more so than ABV.
Oh, we're not talking about ABV. We're talking about 12 year is what the 12 stands
Right,
for.
no, but I mean, we're talking about styles.
sure it's 12 years.
They have an 8 and a 12.
But I don't know if it's the year.
I was under the impression it was a year, but hey, that's what we have this podcast for.
But so
we can learn and
you're thinking a Trappist versus a
yeah, definitely Trappist.
That's a Belgian quadruple. And
Yes.
the first time I had that beer was actually at Joe Blues. And that is honestly one of my top 3 favorite beers.
It's
So-
definitely up there for me.
So here's my question to you: is do they have that as a common beer that you can buy?
Yes.
Yeah, at Central Market, yeah, it's there.
Okay.
It's the blue one, right? Not the green one, or they have a green, blue, and an orange, right?
I think it's more like maroon, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm drunk, so
We'll,
I could look it up right now, but my fingers don't work.
we'll look.
Welcome to the club.
Jarvis, what's your thought on the next beer that we drink?
Well, a couple minutes ago, you said you forgot about what we talked about with the Belgian styles, and this is a Belgian style, and with the St. Bernardus ABT 12 or ABT 12 or however it's correctly pronounced, most Belgian beers are served in a 750 with a cork and
So you're thinking more of a bottle fermented?
no. Usually those Belgian styles, the 750 with the cork and like the cage on top of it, like a champagne bottle. Usually the 750 is better. Quit touching my hand, I will fight you, Tommy. Usually the 750 is better than it's like 11.3 or 11.7, whatever their equivalent is to our 12-ounce bottle. but the St. Bernardus in the smaller format is way better.
Yes, I agree.
You completely lost me. So what style of beer is that? If I was to go to Central Market,
It's a Belgian quadruple, but usually the bigger bottles that have the cork on it taste better if they have the same beer in the smaller format. But this one is the exact opposite.
So what I was asking though is going away from Dan's suggestion. What would you?
I don't want to go away from his suggestion. That is one of my favorite beers. I totally want to drink that on this show. Episode 3, St. Bernardus, ABT 12. Let's do it.
Let's do
You're
it.
just
Let's do it. I have no idea what you're fucking.
You're just
talking
upset because it's not an IPA.
No, I have no idea. No, we already did the IPAs.
If it was up to Tommy, I'm not lying. If it was up to Tommy, we would literally do an IPA every single week.
No, actually,
Month,
we would.
year, whatever.
We would. Hey, look, second episode, I did a Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah,
That's
true.
10.5. This is a beer podcast. This isn't the IPA podcast.
that's true.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at 1 hour and 10 minutes and 39 seconds, I'm empty, but I'll toast anyways. To the next podcast,
Thanks for having me, guys.
may God have mercy on our souls.
Until next time.
You've been watching The Twilight Zone.